So let's ask this, Riley. We have maybe one or two more things we can touch on here.
Yeah.
Year one collecting, what would you do differently? And I want to, again, chat, share your experiences. Maybe you are a year one collector. If you are, let us know how things are going. Let us know what you've learned so far, what insights you've taken into the next year. What are you going to do? Riley, I don't know how long you've been collecting. I think I've been in it like, because I started doing it a little before I was streaming, and I was doing cosplay and other stuff beforehand. But
Yeah.
uh, I've been, I don't know, maybe 5 years, something like that, maybe a little bit more
It's a
than
long
that. But
time.
I'm sure there's a lot of things I would do differently. Riley,
Yeah.
if you think back to your year one collecting, what do you know now that you would do differently then?
It's a really great question. I think now for me, it's been I believe, yeah, even this or next month, it's been about like 2 years of me collecting. So I'm a newer collector. I've come
Nice.
into this hobby a little later into the space, but yeah, once I finally got a job and I can finally collect these expensive things. But I'd say the best advice for me, I'm trying to think about the most frustrating things when I first started collecting. And honestly, I'd say, I think just being selective. I think that's the most important thing to me now because that was the worst thing of collecting. That's what made me makes me think of not collecting anymore, was because I was a really bad collector from the start. I was I was getting, obviously I just got my job, I got checks and stuff, so I was just super excited. I wanted to collect these things. I've always wanted to collect hot toys, but I was like, no, they're just way too expensive. I wouldn't look into it. But now came the time where I got older and I wanted to buy these things, but I went super overkill. I bought a lot of figures where even some figures I didn't even want to pick up as much, but I saw something on a video or I thought it looked really cool and I bought it. But that is the ultimate issue that I had. I would just pick up figures because I just was newer to the hobby. I didn't do enough research, and I wasn't really collecting things that I just had an A tier. Like we talked about tier based collecting. There we go. But it was one of those moments where I was collecting things that I would just be like, it's cool, but I'm just gonna, like, I don't look at it the same way as I do like a month from now. I kind of got old of those figures because I don't have that love for the actual IP or the figure of the movie or the character. But now I've since changed. I've sold a lot of figures, and at that time I was buying a lot of figures when I think the market was definitely in a more healthier state. So it was a lot nicer. Even when I'd follow YouTubers and stuff, they'd say like, yeah, when you buy hot toys, you'll usually like maybe you lose like $5 or $10, or you'll even make money. But I wish we can go to those times now because that's not the case anymore. You will lose $50 to $100 per figure, and it stings. And I know a lot of people say it. I myself, I don't focus on finances when it comes to this as much as I do with the love of the hobby, but that doesn't mean that I don't care when I lose a lot of money on a figure. So nowadays, for any collectors who are your year one new collectors, for anyone catching this maybe future video when you upload it, I'd say be selective, choose the figures that you really love. Make sure you collect the certain amount of figures that fit in your actual display, because if you collect a little too much, it's not going to look good. You're going to be doing yourself a disservice. It's going to be too cluttered. And yeah, that's the most important thing to me, because I know I'd collect a lot of figures that I just really didn't care about a month or 2 or 3 months later, and I had to sell it and I lost a lot of money from it, and it was a mess. So I'd say be selective, collect what you truly love. If there's a movie that you love, a character that you love, your top like 10 or 15, stick to those, because you're going to be hurting yourself when you just pick up a bunch of figures you really don't care about and it just looks cool, and then you end up dumping it for a loss. That's what I'd
Yeah,
say.
dude, trust me, because I've done that. I've done it,
Yep.
especially when I moved to Delaware and then I moved back home.
Yeah.
It was a kind of a wake up call in a way. For one, moving the figures, it's not fun. And then
Yep.
two, when you go back and forth moving everything and then you get back and the space is a little bit different, it's like, okay, I got to change something here. Right. So that's what life does to you sometimes. It smacks you in the face and it's like, all right, wake up, you
Yep.
need to change something. And that's what happens.
Yep.
So year
Exactly.
one collecting, dude, the biggest tip I would give for sure, and I always I told people this a lot when I first started collecting, and I'm sure there are a lot of people maybe in this position right now who can listen to this. I think I had $15,000 in pre-orders, right? And I knew what I pre-ordered. I was like, okay, I pre-ordered Sam Wilson Cap and Ahsoka and this and that, but I never was really cataloging it. It's not like I didn't know what I was
Right.
pre-ordering. I was never cataloging how much I was spending and month to month and stuff like that. And then I
Right.
went through and I was like, yeah, there's no feasible way to do this. Like it's like I
Right.
make a middle class income. I'm not the highest earner where I can just drop any amount of money on collectibles all day, right? So
Right.
that's the biggest thing. Catalog your purchases. You should be screenshotting your purchases, anyway, for, if you need tax reasons for doing so. You should be cataloging like where you're buying things, how much you're buying, monthly budget, yearly budget. Look, collecting should be fun, but it also needs to be serious sometimes. So if
For
you're
sure.
not keeping track of that, you're going to get a wake up call at one point and you're not going to like it. You're just kicking the can down the road. So
Right.
trust me. So it's going to happen. And I do feel like that's something that people need to do. And FOMO, Riley, you did make a good point about that. FOMO for sure is a big one. Sometimes you just got to really think about what you want, because even if you want it then, 6 months from now, if you need the space or you need the money to get something you really wanted, then you're in a troublesome
Right.
spot, because now you've already spent that money instead of saving it for something you did actually want. So that's what I would say. That's just been my experience. Everyone's going to be different, but that's just been what I've, but I don't know. This Loki looks great on a side.
It does, bro. You need to get this. I'm telling you, bro. Get this sculpt. It looks way better out with the different sculpts.
It
You can't
does,
get
but without the
like,
helmet, it's not as cool, dude. It's not as cool with the helmet. So
that's true.
yeah. So
Sure.